Hello, you're watching Sightline on MNB World, an interview program that invites various guests for a conversation on interesting themes. And today we have in our studio Executive Director of the Institute for Future, Coordinator of the project STEM Girls, B.Misheel, and a participant of the STEM Girls project, B.Egshiglen. Every year on February 11th, International Women in Science Day is celebrated. And this year it was celebrated for the 8th time in Mongolia. On the occasion of the day, the closing ceremony of the STEM Girls program, which has been implemented for 5 months by the Institute for Future, was held. Michelle Bolt-Butter is the Executive Director of the Institute for Future. She has obtained her master's degree in engineering at Shizuoka University in Japan. During her study years, she has become the recipient of the Ryuichi Sasakawa Young Leaders Fellowship Fund's Tokyo Foundation Scholarship and Honda Benjiro Foreign Student Scholarship. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Hello, thank you very much for inviting us to this interview.
My pleasure. I would like to start our interview to the introduction to the Institute of Future. What kind of activities the organization conducts?
So Institute for Future was established in 2005. So actually we are the focal point of United Nations Environmental Program, TONSA, NEEN. So NEEN stands for Northeast Asian Youth Environmental Network. So we have been working on the field of environmental education, especially using the youth volunteer force. So the activities we conducted was especially in the field of peer education. Our youth volunteers went to the high schools and implemented and conducted the peer education trainings about environmental issues. So that was the biggest part of our activity. And also we translated the TONSA magazine, which is the worldwide magazine from the TONSA, United Nations Environmental Program's TONSA program. And also we also conducted some campaigns, public campaigns, such as Let's Plant Trees or something like that.
Very interesting. Recently, on February 11th, the International Day for Women and Girls in Science was marked. And on this occasion, you have concluded the STEM Girls program that was implemented in Mongolia.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about the project? What was it about?
So the STEM Girls project was funded by Canada Fund, and we also had a cooperation with the Nano Center of National University of Mongolia and WSTEM, which stands for Women in the STEM. So actually our STEM Girls project was divided to 2 parts. And first part was STEM Saturday. So our participant girls went to 20-week program. Every Saturday we had classes. So we divided our 20-week program to 5 modules. So the modules are, the first one is biology and ecology, and second one is physics, and third one is mathematics and technology, and fourth one is engineering, and fifth one and the last one is chemistry. So we tried to cover all the fields of the STEM, but actually in only 20-week program we couldn't cover all the fields of STEM, so only these 5 themes were covered.
I see, they're all like natural sciences. Yeah, and talking about the STEM program, how many girls managed to take part in this project during the last period?
So during our 5-month project, there was 20 girls participated. So we tried to focus, our target group was from Songhesan and also Bayanzurg districts, but we tried to cover from all the main 6 districts, and we successfully picked from all 6 districts. Our 20 girls were selected.
That's really interesting. Sadly, the statistics show that in the latest 10 years, like people choosing less and less natural science related professions. For example, there were like a survey that in 10 years there will be lack of chemistry and physics professors at schools and universities. And to your opinion, what measures can be taken to increase young generations' interest in the natural science?
So I actually agree with this. I'm also the representation from the STEM field, and actually, when I was studying engineering at the university in Mongolia, the young people were, how do I say, most of people were not interested in engineering field. They just studied engineering because their parents told them so. So I think nowadays the young people are having their opinion very strongly, and it's very difficult to affect their opinion, especially when they are choosing their future profession. It is I think they really don't want to listen to their parents anymore. So I think we need to have some trigger and make the young people like the science field, especially maybe it can be conducted in the classrooms, maybe laboratories. So in my opinion, the high school or maybe middle school science teachers should be working much harder in order to make the young people like and choose the STEM field in the future.
I see. Maybe there are like state or policy support is needed in increasing younger generations' interest in the natural science and especially girls' engagement in natural science. What do you think about that?
So I think maybe policymakers are not focusing on the science and technology development in Mongolia. So if the science and technology field is not developed enough in Mongolia, then younger generations are also not choosing these kind of measures. So the policymakers should pay more attention and maybe give more fund to the university research. In my opinion, the policymakers should pay attention more to the university programs and also the research fundings.
I see. I want to continue my interview with B.Egshiglen. I know that you are the participant of the recent STEM Girls program, and I would like to ask you, what motivated you to take part at this program?
I have been interested in science and technology since my childhood, and I set the purpose to become a data scientist in the future for quite some time. Therefore, I want to participate in the program just like STEM Girls. So when I saw STEM Girls program announcements, I thought it's a chance I couldn't miss it.
I think for the last 20 weeks of the STEM Girls program, there were conducted a lot of activities and disciplines that were interesting. And what was the most interesting part of the project for you?
All the sections are very interesting and so exciting. To emphasize, I think laboratory experiments and field trips, because we have completed laboratory experience we are not too possible to do in public high school.
You have just mentioned that there were a lot of interesting disciplines and programs were conducted during the STEM Girls program. And what was the most interesting and valuable thing that you have learned from this program?
In this program, all the 20 girls are divided into 5 teams, and we peer-to-peer training to middle school girls. And during that peer-to-peer training, we have public speaking skills are increases,
and your teamwork skill also improved, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, that's great. It's really interesting to hear. She has just mentioned the peer-to-peer training. Can you tell us about what was the project about?
So we thought when we started the project, we thought only 20 girls learning about the STEM field is not so enough, because there's so many high school or middle school girls out there. And we thought maybe our 20 girls can be divided to 5 teams, and they had their own mentors. The mentors are all from the new graduates and the young researchers from the field of STEM. So they mentored our girls, and they went to the high schools, middle schools, and they conducted the peer-to-peer trainings. So each team had to conduct 3 separate trainings. So that means total of 15 trainings. So each training had 15 to 20 middle school girls. So overall, I think our approach to middle school girls through our participants was very successful, and the outcome was very good in my opinion, because the middle school girls were telling us if the teachers told about STEM to them, then it would be very uninteresting, or maybe they would think, oh, it's another very something very boring related to STEM. Especially STEM stands for science, technology, engineering and mathematics, and some of the middle school girls haven't even heard about some of the words. Maybe some of them thinks that engineering and technology are exactly same, but they are separate fields. So yeah, that was our purpose.
I see. Talking back about the Institute for Future, what are the plans for the future? What kind of activities are you planning to implement in the near future? And will you continue the STEM Girls program?
So especially I want to mention that our organization really likes to conduct activities on peer-to-peer trainings. So I think this STEM peer-to-peer training was very successful. So in the near future, we are trying to organize a STEM Girls project or something, other trainings related to STEM field in the near future. And also we are conducting another project which is called Let's Help Our Peers. So that project is for university students. So that project is funded by IOM from the UN House. So they the main purpose of that project is there are so many university students are coming to Ulaanbaatar every year to study in Ulaanbaatar. So that migrating students are having so many problems, and I don't even know what their problems can be, because I can only imagine. So the peers that already went through that kind of problems can help their peers. So that's also the another project going on with our Institute for Future.
I see. From all 20 girls who have took part in the STEM project, all were from the urban areas or from provinces?
So actually, when the selection was going on, there were many girls who wanted to participate from different AIMACs, but we thought it could be very difficult for them, because they have to come to Ulaanbaatar each Saturday, but it would be very difficult and it might be almost impossible for them. So this year's 20 girls were all from the Ulaanbaatar area.
But in the future, will you try to expand the activity of the STEM Girls project and organize some trainings in the rural areas, in the provinces?
Yeah, actually our organization is thinking about that a lot recently, because so many people are from the IMACs, from the countryside, is contacting us and please implement this project in the countryside. So maybe maybe next year or the next year, so we might start our STEM Girls program. how do I say, only 2 or 3 weeks program in Ulaanbaatar, so they should come to Ulaanbaatar, and maybe I could mediate in Ulaanbaatar for 2 to 3 weeks, and we can teach about STEM every day. So maybe that kind of projects can start.
And talking back to the students and girls who took part at all these STEM programs activities, what was the most interesting discipline girls are interested into? Is it like technology or engineering? What was it?
I think most of our girls really liked the engineering module, but the most memorable one should be the biology and ecology module, especially the laboratory experiment, because that day our 20 girls went to National University of Mongolia, and they first, maybe some of them already had conducted experiments in laboratory before, but most of them they never even had the laboratory experiments. So they had their laboratory cloak, and they wear the gloves, and they conducted
using microscopes.
Yes, and they conducted very interesting experiments. So I think that modules, that laboratory experiment class was the most memorable one, in my opinion.
Well, that's really interesting. Well, thank you for coming to our studio to share information about the STEM Girls project. Well, that was the new episode of Sightline, and we'll see you next time with more stories and updates. Have a nice day.